Hey friends, Ash here with Gents with another fragrance review. This is continuing on with Niche and Indie Week. So this is my fourth niche fragrance review, and I'm gonna have a couple of more niche and indie fragrance reviews and then do my summer niche list since we're right at the end of summer. So sorry about that, but I have to get that summer list done. That way I can do my fall lists, which is right around the corner. Fragrance that I'm gonna be taking a look at today is by Montale. It is Ristretto Intense Cafe. As usual, we're gonna go over the presentation, then I'm gonna break this fragrance down and let you know whether it's something you should check out or not. In case you're unaware, this is an extrait de parfum version of Intense Cafe, which is one of Montale's more popular fragrances. Enough talking, let's jump into this. All right guys, let's check out this presentation. All right, first off the box, which is really reflective, as you can see right there. This is your typical Montale box. Name of the house, name of the fragrance, size and concentration down here on the bottom. Nothing on the sides or the top. Small amount of ingredient information here on the back. And then on the bottom, your badge code, which is super obvious on this one. And here we have the bottle, has a really nice purple to gold gradient on it. And if you've never had a Montale fragrance before, these are really lightweight compared to glass bottles. So when you pick this up, you might think, oh, I don't have a full 100 milliliters in here, I've been gypped or something like that. These are just really lightweight. One thing that I'll say though is this fragrance, for whatever reason, is heavier than my other Montale bottles. So this one, maybe where it's an extrait de parfum, I'm not sure, has more heft to it, especially here at the bottom. It feels really weighted to the bottom of this bottle. Like with all Montales, you have this little charm stopper that you can stick in right there to stop this bottle from spraying. Atomizer on this, basically the exact same as on all Montales, all Manceras. You can unscrew this if you want to, but it's kind of a pain, so I would just leave it alone personally. There is your sticker on the bottom and your badge code at the bottom of the bottle. One thing that I'm sure that you've noticed in this video, this is an absolute fingerprint magnet. Anytime you pick this up, it just gets smudges all over the bottle. And like with all Montales, all Manceras, does come with a pouch inside the box, so you can put the bottle down inside here and cinch it up, take it with you to go if you wanted to. All right guys, there's the presentation for Montale Ristretto Intense Cafe. Before we go any further, I need to let you know that this was sent to me for review by Europarfums, so shout out to Europarfums. Thank you for sending this to me. As always, it will not affect what I tell you or how I view this fragrance. First off, while this one is similar to the original, which I do own, there are some pretty big differences between the two as well. The most noticeable differences to me is that the original Intense Cafe has a more obvious rose note, especially off the top. Ristretto has a more obvious coffee note, again, especially off the top. And the original leans more feminine, while this one leans a little more masculine. Technically, both fragrances are unisex, that's the way they're marketed, but the original Intense Cafe does lean a little bit too feminine for some people's taste. This one has a lot of caramel coffee right off the top. It almost smells like a carameled cappuccino, something along those lines. It doesn't really smell like a straight up roasted coffee bean. Now to me, the coffee is really obvious, and my wife Chelsea picked out the coffee right away as well. When I had her smell this, right after I sprayed it on, she was like, oh yeah, that's coffee, boom, right away. But a couple of her friends, they couldn't pick out that coffee as well. One said that it smelled like cough syrup, have no clue what's going on with her nose, but that's what she said. And another one said that it smelled more like a dark vanilla. So I guess for some people, the cappuccino / coffee note here at the top is not super obvious. In my opinion though, it is really obvious, so take that for what it's worth. Now the rose in this fragrance, especially in the first 20 minutes or so, can come across a little bit like potpourri. Now it's behind that coffee note in the opening, but the rose, when you do pick it up initially in the top, does have a little bit of a grandma vibe to it. So while the coffee note / carameled coffee note in the opening is gonna be the highlight, that rose in the opening is not the best rose I've ever smelled. Once this fragrance hits the mid, that caramel kind of switches up a little bit and it starts to come across more like a slightly salted toffee. So that switches up the way that the coffee comes across as well. It no longer smells like a carameled cappuccino. It more smells like a vanilla coffee with toffee on the side. That potpourri rose from the opening dies away, so the fragrance no longer has a little bit of a grandma's house vibe to it. And the rose that you can pick up in the mid has a little more of a fresher feel to it. And like I just alluded to, vanilla in the mid mixes with the coffee, kind of sweetens everything up a little bit more. So you've got vanilla and coffee mixing together. Again, that toffee on the side. It makes it a really nice sweet combo in the mid. There's a tiny bit of powder in the mid, but there's not very much, and it doesn't detract from the scent. Once Ristretto Intense Cafe hits the dry down, vanilla becomes the most prominent sweet note. So that caramel slash toffee from the opening in the mid, that takes a backseat to the vanilla once you hit the dry down. The coffee is still present, but it's not as prominent as it was in the opening and the mid. Once you hit the dry down, this fragrance becomes more of an ambery vanilla with musk and coffee in the background. And one thing that is really important to know about this fragrance is that off my skin, this one is legit Jekyll and Hyde. And I'm gonna break that down for you a little bit. In the dry down, which is the most important part of any fragrance, this one can come across really funky in a bad way. Sometimes it comes across like a really super pleasant, warm, sweet vanilla coffee with rosy nuances. And when I catch a whiff and it smells like that, it smells great. But there have been a number of times where I've caught whiffs of this, whether at a slight distance or just smelling it up close, where it has smelled awful. There are times when I've smelled this and it has an off-putting sour musk, almost like spoiled cream kind of feeling to it that just completely overrides the vanilla and the coffee. Something in the mix of this fragrance does not always work with my skin. And it's really strange because there are times legitimately within 30 seconds where you'll smell it and you'll go, oh wow, yeah, that smells awesome. Just really sweet, and that, again, that touch of coffee, the amber, the vanilla, the musk, the rose, everything is working in harmony. Smells great. 30 seconds later, you'll smell it, you'll catch a whiff, and it smells putrid. Like it has a really off-putting stank to it. When that happens, it's pungent. It really does smell like there's a base in the fragrance that's trying to override all the notes over top of it. So it's like, it's almost like these notes have put the coffee and the vanilla in jail. And it's like you can hear them, you know, you can barely smell them, but they're underneath this funk, this cloud of funk. I have no clue what's causing that. My wife picked that up. There were a couple of times when I had this on and she said, honestly, I don't want you to smell like that ever again. I don't want to smell that fragrance. It's giving me a headache. It smells funky. It does not smell good. And I agreed with her. It was almost giving me a freaking headache. Like it was really just, ugh, no. But then other times, I'm telling you, fantastic smelling. So it really is a Jekyll and Hyde. And I can't think of a single fragrance off the top of my head that has had such a glaring difference between how I perceive it in such a short amount of time. Legitimately, like I said, sometimes 30 seconds. Smell it once, great. Smell it again, terrible. There are only two things that I can think of that could be making that happen. One is maybe slight over application. Really, it's not even what I would call over application, but when I would spray this twice in the same spot, so let's say I hit the crook of my elbow twice with this fragrance, much higher likelihood of getting that funky smell. Only one spray in the crook of the elbow or wherever I was spraying the fragrance, much lower likelihood of getting that funky smell. The other reason, which does kind of tie in with what I just said, is there's a possibility, maybe due to the concentration of this fragrance being an extrait de parfum, that when I smell initially and it smells good, I go anosmic to those pleasing notes, and all that's left is this funky undertone. So my nose is no longer picking up those notes that initially smelled good. They've been overridden, I've gone anosmic to them, and now all that I can pick up is that funky bass. So yeah, I suppose it's possible that I'm going anosmic to these notes and I can't pick them up anymore, and all that's left, the notes that I can pick up after I've gone nose blind to the good ones, are notes that come across really displeasing. It's not just me though. My wife said the exact same thing. She was in a car with me, so sorry about that. And a couple other people as well. I would say, does this smell weird to you? And they would say, no. And then they would say, well, wait, let me smell it again. And then the second time they'd smell it, they would say, yeah, it smells terrible. So it's not just me. I have verified this with other people. Maybe it's just my skin chemistry, but sometimes this one smells awesome. Other times, no dice, no go. All right, let's talk about performance. This one is a Montale. It is an extrait de parfum. That should tell you about all you need to know performance-wise. Projection was very good off my skin for over 3 hours, absolutely no issues there, and I did end up wearing this one really lightly after the first couple times that I wore it. Longevity on this one will get you through a work day, no issue. It'll get you through the entire day. Don't go heavy with this fragrance. Don't wear it in the heat. Not a spring fragrance, not a summer fragrance, in my opinion. Basically a fall and winter fragrance only, in my opinion. Between those two, much better suited for winter. As far as day or night, I would choose to wear this one in nighttime. One other thing to know about this fragrance, where this is an extrait de parfum, when you spray this on your skin, it's gonna leave kind of an oily sheen where you sprayed it for about 30 to 45 minutes. You may not care about that, but be aware that you're going to have a really shiny spot for a considerable amount of time after you spray this on. So overall, do I like Ristretto Intense Cafe? Yes, but only as long as I don't pick up that funky note, because that kills it for me. That means that when I wear this, I essentially just have to go with one spray here, one spray here. That's about it. Any more than that, and I risk this just turning into a complete nightmare. Again, maybe that's just me, maybe my skin chemistry sucks with this fragrance, but I know that if it happens with me, it would happen with some of you out there too. The coffee is more pronounced in this one than in the original Intense Cafe, but really just through the mid. Once you hit the dry down, the coffee is in the background, and this becomes more of an amber vanilla musk fragrance. It doesn't really have that deep roasted coffee bean note. That's what I was really looking for here. It's what I was hoping for. It doesn't really have that. The coffee note in the opening is nice, but again, it's more of like a cappuccino. You know, it's like a sweetened up coffee. This is not a dark coffee scent. Between the two, the original Intense Cafe and Ristretto Intense Cafe, if I could keep only one, it would be this one, just as long as that grotesque sour note stays away. I like the more masculine tone, I like the sweetened up coffee, I like that the rose is dialed down a little bit. All of that stuff is great. It's just, I can't wear more than one spray. Also, I know that as of this video, Lucky Scent has a 15% off code for all Montales, so I'll leave a link in the description for this one at Lucky Scent. I don't have an affiliate agreement or anything like that with Lucky Scent, so I won't get any kickback from that. It's just if you're gonna buy this, saving 15% off is better than saving 0% off. That's a pro tip. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for all of your support. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys again next time.